Okay. So, good morning on this rainy Sunday morning, Palm Sunday, or whatever. So last time we finished most of Teary. I just need to do her apron. So I also need caffeine because allergies. I should also allergy meds. Okay. So I don't have the pattern written for the apron yet, but I have a vague idea of how I want to do it. So it's mostly just a matter of checking to make sure that the image that is in my head matches up with what is actually going to work. You need to stop being sassy for a minute. I'm gonna do, we'll do 13, so I get 12 actual stitches. So that is chain 13. One crochet across to give me 12. Sorry, I'm gonna stop trying to type one-handed. Single crochet across. And that'll be probably 4 times. Catch that tail and then chain one and turn, and then crochet around the tail. Again, this way I don't have to weave in ends later. So it's just, I don't have to think about it after this. this whole week has just been miserable and rainy, and that is not helping my allergies or anybody with allergies because the rain always brings down all the crap that's in the air. And because it's spring, pollen is a thing. And I'm like, this is why I'm like, I don't like flowers. A, it's something for me to, have to quote unquote take care of. B, I'm allergic. Not like I'm gonna like go into anaphylactic shock or anything. I don't have any allergies that are like potential to kill me or anything. But it gets really annoying, and I get grumpy when I can't breathe through half of my nose. On top of the fact that I'm normally very grumpy. So let's see, I think that was 4. So we want to, we'll just do 10 rows, 8 rows. I think having it come down to there. So if we did a total of 9 total rows, that'll work. So we'll say X. I now, again, like I normally would rather not have to sew things together, but when I'm making things this small, you can't like, oh, let me just go around the edge. I don't want to go around the edges. I don't want to go around all of the edges anyways. So the next one I'm going to work on is going to be Vero. And that's what I'm going to use this copper mist, slightly tanned color for. So I'll have to go through, pick out all of the colors for all of his outfit. Which once I finish Tiri, I will. And then I did get a new metallic yarn that I'm going to use for Orion, since star people need to be shiny, so it makes sense why people called him Twinkles. I also got to figure out, like, oh, let me design the general, like, guard outfit. Because I have the dress that Tiri's wearing. That'll be, like, your standard sort of, like, NPC dress, I guess. Your barmaid. Since she does own Brandy Bush. One more. And we'll see if I actually need to recount, do anything different. Are we having technical difficulties here? Why are we having technical difficulties? We are having technical difficulties. not streaming right now. Why? What is this? What is going on? Um, where? Well, that's good. I'm having all sorts of technical difficulties here. It's not one thing, it's another. OBS decided to screw up. Okay, are we good? We're live? Hello? Okay, well. Why? Okay. Well, that was fun. Are we cooperating? That's live. I'm live. Hello. I don't know if y'all are getting music at the moment. Uh, okay, you're getting that? We're good. We're live. This is functional. Yeah. We good now? If things aren't dying a horrible death. Okay. Well, hopefully this continues to cooperate. But who knows? We'll see what's happening. Let's put this on. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Apparently OBS wanted to not cooperate. So now it should be functional. Let's continue working with Tiriana's apron. Lower that. Okay. Are we? That'd be good. Is this? Cooperating? I genuinely don't know. Anyways. Well, now that stressed me out first thing this morning, we will see what happens. Yeah, okay. Um, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, so then we're going to go to as I switch back and forth, I am writing down my pattern as I do it, or typing my pattern. 15, 25, slip stitch across, chain 25, stitch across. I cannot type for the life of me, apparently. Cross and finish off. Okay. Slip stitch. Slip stitch. Gotta keep reminding myself slip stitch. Because now we're making the ties for the apron. And then finish it off, attach it, and then Terry will be done. And I also, so I have to figure out the colors that I want to use for Vero, since he's the next character I'm gonna work on. He wears a lot of like neutral colors because it's, you know, figure back in the fantasy world, it's cheaper to get the neutral colors or like the natural colors as opposed to anything bright and colorful. Plus, he doesn't really have any sort of affiliation with any groups, at least to start. So he's just gonna have simple, like, trousers, pants, and a very basic, like, t-shirt, tunic. And then Orion is gonna have a guard's outfit on, which I need to sort of plan out. I haven't really gone too much into like what the livery is for the different guards and the cities, but he's basically part of the in Scio, which is Thanalin? So the Thanalin guard. I need to come up with the colors for that. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. And slip stitch back across this. And then we get to pick that color palette. And then I gotta figure out like what, if any, armor I'm gonna make. I actually probably could make at least like a mock chainmail for some of these guys, because I have the jump rings. Very loose chainmail. I'd have to look into maybe like a drop stitch knit to make it look like it's chainmail. Did I skip a stitch? I'm just connect back there and finish off a long enough tail to hide it easily. This is done. We'll wrap that back up before it gets tangled. Needle. just have to tie the apron on. It's just going to be a basic square knot because it is not large enough in which I can do a fancy bow or anything. Didn't make the strings that long. And there is Terry. Now, I think I put all of my props away to a degree. However, if I persuade my little desk to move out just a little bit. And grab my props. She absolutely would be the one going around. Potentially with a teapot. But more than likely with a plate. I need to make a serving tray for her. That's a knife. That's a spoon. She'd also be the type to have a bunch of teeny tiny keys everywhere. So I need to make a serving tray. But she would very much be the one to have, you know, a bowl of soup in one hand that she's dishing out to everybody. Or a pot of tea to serve people with. But more than likely, she's just getting ready to go to join the festivities as it is. Gonna put those all up on the table that I have over here. And that is Tiriana done. And she's gonna stay in her sassy barmaid pose because that's really the only way she can be. She knows too much. I guess I'll let her have a seat. Sitting in the background. Okay. As I continue trying not to die from allergies and, you know, lack of ability to breathe with my sinuses. If my phone could cooperate and actually charge, that'd be great. Thanks. So now we have colors. My crew goes here. So they are in order of the colors, or at least that's the attempt. But, so this is going to be the skin tone. I have somewhere a picture of that I had drawn of Vero. That's what I want. Open this. Sorry, I am all over the place. Not actually what I want. I want this. this. Okay. So I had it where he has a dark gray tunic, brownish gray pants. His tunic is the same size as his shoes. Same color, not size. And he has a green book. That is the important part. His book is green. So we will grab his green book. His little teeny tiny green book. And he also has a pen, which will black pen, pencil. So he can make all of his notes and observations. Little teeny tiny pencil. I don't even remember where I get half of these accessories. So he has those. I'm gonna put away some of these so I don't knock them over and be like, oh no, where'd it go? I need to get more of the teeny tiny, like, mugs of beer. So he has like a dark gray. Why do I not have these colors exist? I know they do. Okay. Well, if it's not going to be a black, then I guess he'll be more of a brown. Because this is the color I want for his hair. So that's then going to be his shoes. And that's not the right color for his hair. So yeah, that'll be his hair. That'll be his shoes and his tunic. Then his pants. This is this too close? No. That might be a little too close. What does it say? 40. Yeah, that works. Have the pants be slightly lighter. Because he very much wears nondescript outfits. His bag will be this color. And then his sword belt. That needs to be that 801. Okay. And now we have all of our colors for Vero. Hello, hello, good morning. I am dying from allergies. It has been a rough week with the rainy weather we've had over here. So I just finished up another one of the characters. So I have two done. Okay. Why? I hate these spam bots. Okay, is this a little better? I had some issues with OBS this morning. Let's lower the music, raise me up a little bit. Hopefully, okay, okay. OBS like forgot how to connect to Twitch this morning, so I am a little all over the place. Let me just get rid of this spam. Great, fantastic. Okay. Yeah, it's between my headset, because I also had my mic flipped up. I also just can't really project very well at the moment. So I've now finished two characters and am working on the third one. I also got the yarn for the fourth character. Yes, I will definitely look into that. I have no bots set up. I just manually go through all of these things. I will pull that into a new tab. Look into that after. Um, yeah, like I've said, I'm always working on still trying to get everything better. I am, still trying to figure out all of these stuff. I don't have any bots. I don't have any of I don't have any mods, obviously, but it is what it is. I'm working on it. I'll get it there. Yeah, so we're gonna. Yeah, there we go. Fantastic. Okay. Now that that excitement's over, why is there. How did you knot yourself? So I have, yeah, sorry about I have that pulled open. I'll look at that after this stream. Try and get that all set up and whatnot. Um, but yeah, so, okay, she's done. To the next character. And then I'll have my two main characters done. And then 2 turns into 6 down the line. Oh, we gotta do magic ring. Gonna. Yeah, 3D render is always a little crazy. I remember back in college, it would be yes. So let's press render and then go disappear for like 3 hours because Maya was terrible at rendering things properly or with any sort of speed. Is it an animation or just a 3D like still frame, I guess? Fair enough, fair enough. Listen, unless you're insane like I am, you don't try and take on like solo animation projects. And I'm well aware of the fact that I try and take on way too much. However, every time I try and do like a group project, it's always ended up being no, no, I'll just take care of this. Oh, yeah, no, that's fair. That's how I'll upload the recordings of these streams to like YouTube. I'll just be like, ah, yes, let me set it up. It'll take like 2 hours. Great, fantastic. Set that up, then go have dinner, or set it up before I go to bed. I haven't had to do like 3D anything in a hot minute. I typically, and again, it's other than the 3D modeling for work, which actually I come up with things like this. I made weapons for the characters that got the fancy dagger. So I make these in Inventor because that's the program I have at work and that's what I've used. So I'm like, ah, yes, work is annoying me. So let's make a bunch of weapons. Although I do have to make like a quote unquote standard size short sword because this is the whole version of Vero's weapon, and this is the broken version of Vero's weapon. Because plot reasons. But so I have the exact same thing, and Kazul will eventually be the one who is able to repair the weapon, but they have to go find the broken piece. And then this is all of these holes. I need to figure out how I want to attach like a gem or something to it to make it more of a unique weapon, or at the very least be like, oh yes, that is very specifically that person's weapon, and then have a bunch of the generic stuff for the I'm gonna keep calling them NPCs, but the background characters. Let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12, and then I go to 18. 1. Oh, I didn't pick out his eye color yet. Since that I have to go to a different box for. Let's check off. Thank you. I 100% agree. Real people annoy me. That's why I make dolls. Okay. So Tiri is done. I'm like, I tried being friendly, and this is also why another reason why I want to do the streaming, because this is how us introverts find each other, and we can all hate the world together. to get out my second box to find an eye color. And actually, I like this for his eye color. I have to go to a family gathering later, and I'm like, yep, this is why I drink. Although I'm not really sure how the mics and the Benadryl are gonna cooperate together. What general like genre is it? Like, like a fantasy sort of portraits, or is it just like normal portraits, for lack of a better term? Um, or is it just whatever tickles your fancy that day? Fair enough, fair enough. What's your favorite fantasy setting? Because I mean, if you haven't figured it out, I tend to live in the fantasy genre quite a lot. Fair. Yeah. No, I've been working on this one fantasy world for a really long time, to the point where I'm like, great, now I have one world that I can pick and choose the different locations from to put my different stories or uh like RPGs or whatever. So, but mine's very like medieval fantasy. Um Not quite like high fantasy like the like Lord of the Rings or anything, but like it's hard to describe it. I've never really had to like describe what this world is. It's low magic. Magic exists, but it's low magic. Okay. No, like I'll use video games to inspire like outfits. Be like, yes, I like this character, but not in this context. So I will definitely steal it, or from the like fantasy books and whatnot. That's actually where I got the name Kazul from. It was from Dealing with Dragons series that I read when I was a child, and that name just always sort of resonated with me. 5. Okay. Before I forget, let me update all of these colors so I don't remember. So I don't forget which one is which. Okay. It's been a hot minute since I saw Star Wars, but I have seen the original 6. I've not had anything to do with the new ones. So 938, 840, 839, and oh, excuse me, 842. Okay, well, I never actually bothered to read the books. That is one series that I never read the books. Um, his hair is 98. Pants are that's for the bag. Pants are 840. We said shirt. Yeah, shirt and shoes. So that's gonna be 839. The bag is the 842. That's the okay. I think I have that right. And then the belt is gonna be the 801. Why do I have like 15,000 notifications? Okay. So one of the other things I was also working on is I found some patterns for like plastic canvas doll houses, and I am shrinking them currently. That I haven't sewn them together yet, but this way I'll be able to have a fancy chair and a bunch of fancy chairs for like the tavern and be like, oh yes, here's all of the furniture, so I don't have to keep buying the different like props that I want to use for these. I still have to figure out how I want the layout of the tavern. I did get a fancy little fireplace for the tavern that also lights up. So I'll be able to have a nice little, yeah. Oh yes, ambient lighting, because that's going to be the hardest part of all of this is building my set. Oh yeah, there's also the fancy campfire that also lights up if I find the switch correctly. Because if I have these lighted props, I can actually create those sort of like shadow effects without being like, oh yes, I have to remember how to set up lighting in like Photoshop, because I don't. I can eventually get there with the digital software, but I much prefer like creating an actual set and a physical representation, which is why I'm doing the dolls as opposed to just trying to do 3D models, because I cannot do organic modeling to save my life. Smooth curves doesn't really work for me. That and we had to learn the ZBrush, and I'm like, no. You put a bunch of clay in front of me, I could probably get it to work, but trying to do it on the computer is not happening. Even just my traditional art on the computer, it's very simple um, in terms of like color profiles and whatnot, or like the shading and the shaping and the shadows. And I'm just like, no, thank you. I will leave that to the people who have that ability. I am not one of them. I will sit here with my yarn and my hooks and physically create 3D things. Two, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is way too much. That still might be too much. Maybe. We go down to 9. So this is 1, 2, 3. We don't want to catch any of the stuffing. Said no stuffing. One more time. 1, 2, and 3. Drink before I choke. We're in back loops. And then 3 rows. Four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, 16, 17, 18. One more. Okay. Ridiculously long tail so I can sew the nose and the ears. Without destroying the thread, thanks. I'm gonna put you out here for now. Now comes the fun part of trying to basically turn this last bit inside out. I'm sure there's a better way to do this, but this is the way that has worked for me. Just stab at it with a stick. Then we find the spot where the chin looks the most defined. Should be there. Go over here for the ear. I do these things like a different way every single time. Mostly because I have no idea when it comes to these fancy embroidery stitches. Just kind of make it up and hope for the best. Good morning, good morning. How's it going? I am working on the third doll for my chaos. Just probably the better way. I am making up embroidery stitches as I go along and trying not to stab myself with a skewer as I brace it to embroider these facial features. And there, I think. Yeah. So we have the teeny tiny ear. We got the nose, and now I got to do the other ear. So appreciate that. This was the second doll that I finished. She has her fancy gold eyes because she's a fae. Finished her apron this morning. And then the first one, who's kind of stuck to the chair at the moment, is Kazul. She has the cat-like eyes. She has her dagger hidden in her boot. Not that it's particularly hidden, but I don't really have space to put it anywhere else. Is this 1, 2, 3, 4? 1, 2. You need to be one more over. So we're gonna attempt to replicate the ear. Yes, this will be for a, like, not full-blown stop motion, but at the very least, like, slideshow animation, where it'd be like, oh yes, here's the scene, here's the character where they pose, they'll be like this, then they'll pose like this, full of a bunch of, teeny tiny props, and as much as I can get it to look like, it's not going to be smooth animation. I do not have the space or the time to do like a full-blown, like, Nightmare Before Christmas stop motion animation. But at the very least, it'll be enough animation that you can tell, hopefully, where the action is and how that's going. Mostly because I can't bring myself to do proper 3D animation. We don't need the ear to stick out. Thank you, thank you. It's I've been working on it for the very least plotting. I guess plotting for it would be probably the better uh, description or the most accurate term. Uh, quite a number of years because I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna do this, I want to make sure I have a full world developed around it so I can make sure there are no plot holes. There are no uh, like there's reasons why everything happens in certain ways. So it was very much a slow go, and then always trying to figure out how I wanted to represent everything. Because at first I was like, oh, I want to make, Barbie sized dolls. And I'm like, I don't have the space to do that. So now we have our head with the nose and 2 ears. Now I don't feel like doing the eyes right now, so I'm not going to. Yes. Yes, the 3D printer, you can kind of see the blue box over my shoulder in the little the face cam. That's my little 3D printer. And the G code, luckily we don't have that machine at work anymore, but I can still read enough G code to tell me what it's trying to do, which in and of itself causes enough headaches because it's more useless information that is stuffed into my head. So that's his eye color. I'm going to throw that in there. And that's the hair color. So we're going to do the hair real quick because that is this character's hair is going to be similar to this, except I'm gonna have the bangs sort of split apart. But this is the hairstyle I'm going for with this character, the new character. Yes, and I very much appreciate that. I'm still getting used to this thing of, hey, random people on the internet actually care about what I'm doing. Oh. And if Mother Nature would stop trying to kill me with allergies, that'd be even better. But we all know that's not going to happen. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I appreciate that, Monrose. I'm like, I never know what I should call people by and like which way I should, like shorten their name. So, yes, let me click on this. Morose. Okay. Perfect. Oh, that is awesome. I love that. That is so cool. That is amazing. That now I feel like I have to, do what I can to also create sassy. The problem is there's a dowel in the back, so I can't really make her be as sassy. There, she's sassy now. That's why you have to use like the colored lights. So Tiri's now gonna be sitting over here being sassy, like, what are you doing? Here, I'll hold her up to this camera. Tiri is always, she doesn't judge, she just knows everything. She is definitely more connected to the world around her, and even if you try and hide things, she'll just know. And that's because she is Fae and not just an elf. She also has a tendency to mother everybody. I had to read that a couple of times to try and like actually connect the dots in my head. That is very much a intense project. Anything to do with AI and getting it to cooperate. I have a vague idea of what you're like trying to do, and I don't fully understand the how, but I understand the what. But feel free to explain if you want. It's completely up to you. I love learning about new things. It's too early in the morning for puns base. Even though it's almost 12 o'clock, it is too early in the morning for puns. Yeah, no, I understood the servos and that. I used to do the robotics team, so the technical parts I understand. It's more of the what you're trying to translate from Blender to, I guess, IRL. Okay, carry on. Sounds like you're basically trying to also do like a reverse motion capture type thing, where instead of having an actor tied to the rigging of a model, you have the rigging of a model tied to the robotics. Reverse mocap. I feel like there's probably a better method than trying to get. So what did you like? You know, it's too early for this nonsense. I can't be witty right now. My brain is not functioning. But even if there is a better way, it's just something about that, you know, I understand that there are better ways to do this, but I want to do it in a specific way just to say that I can. It's basically you'd need some sort of way to have the AI focus only on the Blender. It's like the changing variables in Blender is all you need to read, which you need to figure out some way to output just that information. Now you got me thinking about the old robotics, like sort of like robotics type projects that I had had. Yeah, yeah. Physics is. I understand physics. I understand why it's applicable in situations, but let me tell you, taking physics at 6:30 in the morning before school started was not fun. Therefore, I will always look at physics with an air of disdain. I'm like, because I was one of four students who took the second level of AP physics, and it was not fun. I just I could never get myself to properly study in high school because it was most of the work was too easy. I I used Maya in school, so the Blender interface in general irritates me because I'm like, there's so many extra functions that I don't need for specific tasks. Um, but I again I understand how to apply the like physics and because I work primarily nowadays in Inventor, so it's all like material things where I'm like, oh, okay, I need to, I need to model a sword so I can cut it out on my laser. But if I wanted to actually, I could assign the actual material and it'll do all like the stress analysis and everything. So this is what I do in my free time at work. I make weapons. That and I make the dolls. But yeah, no, it's I never really did much of the actual most of my animation stuff I did like machinimas where it's oh yes let's create this whole plot line in Minecraft and then green screen a person into it. So all of my work was really done in Premiere and on the actual video editing side as opposed to the let's actually animate with real physics. So I might have to dig out some of my old textbooks, but I'm sure I could make it work if I had to. Or I can just hire you to do it for me. Oh, that's fair enough. The extent of my photography skills involve using my phone to film my dad on the racetrack. And then or to like point my phone at him while we're driving to the racetrack. And that is the extent of my photography and videography skills. I'm like, yeah, could I learn? Absolutely. Do I want to invest all of that time and energy into like uh, mastering a new skill up to my level of satisfaction? No, not really. I have enough going on with the 1,500 other things that I do. Slip stitch. Yeah, no, like I said earlier, trying to even just this stop motion project, trying to do this myself is a very, very large undertaking, especially because, and I mean, luckily I have 24 chapters of the story written. Um, and the way I tend to write is I visualize what happens first. So translating it to physical form is less of a problem, but it's still just, it's a lot. So, and then I'm going to be doing all the voices for everything too. So, and I know that that's going to have to be oh yes, let me figure out how to use the Adobe version of Audacity to manipulate some of the sounds so I can actually get a decent deep male voice, cuz I can do the stupid like high pitched, giggly valley girl nonsense. But my range of voices is better when I'm not breathing through half a nostril. Because otherwise, the high squeaky voices come out as actual squeaks. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. I need to run to the bathroom real quick, so I will be right back. Give me like, 5, 10 minutes. So. Okay, I'm back. Okay, that is done. Okay. I'll just have to finesse things around. But I don't think I needed this for anything else. Okay. I didn't want to do the eyes, but let me, I guess, do the eyes now so I don't have to worry about them. I guess. What did I do with the stick? There's the stick. Put this back on here. We will attempt to make the eyes not look ridiculous. It was an attempt. It didn't quite. Some finessing will have to happen. I'm sure there's always plenty of drama going on. But luckily and unluckily, I'm not at that point where I have to worry about sponsors. Choking on air. there's also the case of, in general, soda's not great for the body. And usually the diet options are even worse. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'll have rum and Coke, hold the Coke. Mm. Not even gonna attempt to pronounce that French word because I don't. I studied Italian in school, and then I work with a bunch of Spanish-speaking folks, and I'm annoyed with the French language for oiseau or oiseau, however you actually say bird. Mm. They're yeah, no. I don't hold it against anybody who is French, but I have issues with the French language. Yeah, yeah, that one. Let's use every single vowel and not pronounce any of them. Oh, English likes to beat up other languages in, like, the alley and rummage around for spare vocabulary instead of lunch money. I fully like I have so much respect for anybody who learns English as a second language, uh, because of all of the, you know, exceptions to the so-called rules. And it's like, yeah, because with all the homonyms and the hominos, I can't even English properly. Yeah, but anybody who didn't grow up speaking French can't get out half of those sounds that they want you to pronounce. Yeah, but most technology or like vehicles tend to be called her anyways. You get the guys and their boats, and it's always, oh yeah, she's a real good boat. And it's like, what? I wonder if the quote unquote gendering of a item originally stemmed from who used it the most. Way back when people actually cared about things like that. Because, the kitchen, it's la cucina in Italian. So who knows? Or they just kind of, oh yeah, well, you have all of the like the idioms and the phrases. Yeah. So I wonder, like, if either they sat there with a dartboard and went male, female, or not, or nothing, and just you know if that's how they decided it, or if they went, oh no, we're gonna have actual solid reasoning. I did not know that as a fact, but it definitely makes sense. Given anytime I see like some of those like dubs of those like Chinese dramas where they'll very clearly be talking about a female character, but um like the subtitles will end up saying he. So because it's also any of those like the languages that are written with the kanji and or whatever the proper term, the symbolic languages, it's that's a completely different base or whatever the I'm not a language person, but the it has it's because like obviously we're all kind of English stems from Latin, which has one way one grammar system. Yeah, no, Italian was the same way where it's like the only way you use the female plural is if it's only females that you're talking about. So it's like if you're talking about a group of people, uh it'd be like, the boys or the boys and girls, it's always wow, I blanked, but it's ragazzi instead of ragazze. Because you only use the A at the the E at the end. And all these different little rules with the languages, like it's one thing to be able to translate the written language and another thing to be able to speak it because of all the little nuances. But yeah, any of the what is it, the romantic languages, I think is what all the like French, Spanish, Italian are known as, based off of the fact that they came from Latin. They have the same general grammar rules because I know with being that I studied Italian and I'm surrounded by people who speak Spanish. I can understand more Spanish than I can actually like speak. Um, and there are some times when I accidentally default to Italian when I'm trying to, respond, but they at least can understand what I meant because it's close enough. Like there's certain words that are different, like the word for dog in Italian it's cane, but in Spanish it's perro. So it certain words are different, but other words are very similar. Like the numbers are very similar. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And even, and we're just talking about like written and spoken language, but if you even talk about spoken language and then you get into the body language that is and isn't appropriate, there's so many different ways where it's like, oh yeah, you always say tell kids, oh, it's rude to point, but sometimes it's rude not to point to somebody. But the way you point, like this way, this you're in trouble, this I'm gesturing towards you. And so there's so many variations on communication, and you know at least around here people don't know how to communicate, period. So they're never going to attempt to learn all the nuances of a different a completely different language, because why should they put in the effort? And then we also in English, further, farther, and father. There was I think it originated as a Tumblr post, but it was like further is for distance, for physical distance. Farther is for emotional distance, and father is for or, uh, whatever it is. Yeah, no, that direct sort of, you can't translate the literal translations because like the literal translation, like the phrase in Italian that means good luck, it's in bocca lupe, which is in the mouth of the wolf, which doesn't make sense when translated one to one in English, but you have to understand the intent behind the words as opposed to the literal words. And like, shut up is chiude le becche, which is close your beak. So those who can be fluent and actually properly translate languages, that's another group of people that it's like mad props to. Because that is an absolutely crazy. Yeah, and the fact that a lot of you know then you start factoring in like sarcasm. It depends on the context of the situation. It depends on who you're saying it to. Because it's like obviously there can be the sincere like, oh, good luck, or yeah, good luck with that, and you'll never be able to fully translate the tone of a conversation uh in like only text without the qualifiers. So it's and that's also why having like as much as I hate interacting with people directly, having that face to face um like actual, being able to read the body language cues of you can at least help determine, are they being serious? Is it an actual like proper sarcasm, or are they putting on an act, and the emotion is not genuine. I enjoy sarcasm, but it's I can understand why it gets frustrating when either people aren't used to dealing with sarcastic people. Um, but no, I regularly use sarcasm simply for the fact of if I actually said what was on my mind. Um, and yes, it's being able to speak directly absolutely is, much better than having to hide behind things. But like in cases of like being at work, if I don't use sarcasm, then I'm not generally fit for public company. But when it comes to like talking about a problem, for example, it's no. Stop beating around the bush. Don't sugarcoat it. Just tell me what the problem is so it can be resolved. It's also one of the reasons I hate phone calls. I hate talking on the phone because I can't always get a good read on what people are actually uh, what they mean just from the tone of voice. At least if I can look somebody in the eye, I can tell, oh, hey, they're annoyed, or oh, they're just joking. Because I'll definitely take things in the worst way possible. Uh, just because I'm a pessimist like that. You need to stop getting caught in everything. I'm gonna trim this off. It's out of my way. Yeah, No, thanks for hanging out. I hope the rest of your day is good, and I'll see you next time. Absolutely feel free to lurk in the background. Oh no, I'm so sorry. That is always very, very frustrating. Hope your walk, is peaceful and, goes quicker than you expect it to. Thank you for hanging out. have to go back to brown because I need to fix that because the eyes are a little lopsided. I think what I'll try and do for the next one is go backwards when it comes to the colors. Do the white first, then the color, then the black. It'll probably make my life a little easier. But there's always going to be the trial and error. But I think once I finish up the eyes and then glue the head on, I think I will probably call it for now because I've been going for just about 2 hours, not counting the like 20 minutes I had going before the stream decided to throw a fit. Ow. Oh, good. Stabbed myself with a blunt needle. Stick this up there for now. Okay. Now the eyes look a little bit better. Okay. That is mostly good enough. So now it's a matter of gluing the hair into place. Put away the colors that I don't need anymore. 938, which goes here. Just gonna drop everything, apparently. Gonna put you back on here. Place a pin. Get our handy dandy tacky glue. Because again, I don't have the patience or the desire to sew all of this on. So we're gonna make sure it clears the ears correctly. And we're gonna pin that into place. Glue that back into place. We're gonna start. Tiny dots of glue. And kind of finesse that into place. Stab things to hold them into place. I can kind of fold things over and finesse them into place. And while that dries into place, I'll be able to work on the body and then come back to this and tack things down again if there's still some places that it's a little off. But while that's drying, I'm going to switch over here and say thank you guys so much for hanging out. I'm going to call it a day because I have to go to a family event in 2 hours. So I should probably go get ready for that. Thank you, Morose and Lobase. Anybody else who stopped by. I will be back streaming on Tuesday evening, probably with either more outfits or maybe I'll work on showing off some of the plastic canvas shenanigans that I've come up with. But yeah, no, with that, I will see y'all next time. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.